I want Jewish children to look at their daddy and say, why is Jay mad at us? I could say anti-Semitic things and Adidas can't drop me. Now what? The Jewish people have their hand on every single business that controls the world. So for all the Jewish media, y'all want to sit down and have a conversation with me? Then let's have a conversation.
Yay, you wanted the Jewish people to own up and respond to your claims and demands? So listen up, this is our answer. Yay, after witnessing your recent interview videos, tweets, and the world's response to your messaging, it is evident that you're trying to create a conversation around several topics that are weighing heavy on your conscience. While attempting to empower the Black community, revealing the truth that many Black people are descendants of the tribes of Israel who were in Africa and later taken as slaves to the Americas, and seeking to call out individual Jews for bad practices, you fell DEFCON 3 to the world's ears when going on attack mode. You don't heal darkness with more darkness. If you use your voice, especially aimed at Jews who you call your own people, you must come from a place of light. Your fire is a superpower. It gives you the ability to create and rise above others, but if you let that fire control you, you end up burning those around you. Your words impact the minds of millions, and you seriously tripped up when you started regurgitating Jewish conspiracy theories, sprinkling blatant historic anti-Semitic tropes, which have been used to push waves of terror and persecution against the Jewish people for generations, and blaming Jews for all of your problems or traumas experienced, which always leads to physical harm against Jews at the very least. The source of your problem begins with you coming from a place of jealousy.
I'm jealous of the fact of how they don't abort their babies. I'm jealous of the fact of how they stay with their wives. I'm jealous of the fact of how they do business together. I'm jealous of the fact of how they read their contracts and understand their contracts. I'm jealous of the way Jewish people do business.
I'm envious that they turn their phones off on Friday night and the family comes together.
I want my people to rise up like the Jewish people. I'm a competitor.
Most people in positions of power are not Jewish, but given the current recognized Jewish community amounts to 15 million worldwide, which is only 0.2% of the world's population, you are right that Jewish representation in positions of power is extremely high. Jews also excel in spaces outside of finance. Many top doctors, scientists, researchers, artists, engineers, and founders of charitable movements are Jewish. This phenomenon has nothing to do with Jews being born Jewish or into success. Quite the contrary. Jews throughout history have constantly been hated, persecuted, exiled, converted by force, burned, crucified, exterminated, and suffered more for thousands of years than any of us can imagine. Even today, Jews make up 13% of New York City's population, yet over 56% of the total hate crimes committed in NYC are specifically against Jews.
I remember Ben Horowitz called me after 444 and said, I don't know about Jay giving up Jewish business secrets. And these secrets...
We talk about building up the properties and stuff like that on 444.
These secrets they not finna be a secret no more. Like if somebody tells me something, it's like, yo, I want to tell you this, but it's a secret. I'm like, I'm not your personal hard drive. Like if you want to be a secret, don't tell me. I'm not here to keep nobody's secrets because it's only the truth that's going to set us free.
Yay, I'm going to let you in on a secret and feel free not to keep it. The formula for Jewish success comes from our ancient culture and traditions. Let me give you an example. Just a few hundred years ago, most humans on Earth were illiterate and did not know how to read or write. But throughout history, most Jews knew how to read and write due to their bar and bat mitzvahs, a passage to adulthood test, where an entire portion of the Torah is recited in Hebrew, all while memorizing the pronunciation of each word without vowels. Not to mention the fact that Jews also learned Gemara and Talmud, which are texts with deep disagreements from varying perspectives, which develop critical thinking skills for any human learning it. Most Jews also have parents who push their children to be the best versions of themselves that they can be, and have passed down traditions like giving at least 10% of our yearly income to charity, taking care of our own community, helping others in need outside of our community, and having deep love for our heritage and collective purpose. That being said, there are also many Jews who are not financially successful and live below the poverty line. Your generalization stemming from your individual reality in this video game of life does not define the experience of an entire collective. Your jealousy comes from looking at our results, but if you want to understand the why, you should look at the millions of Jews who've suffered, bled, and died to make sure we are still here, and the efforts that our ancestors have invested to make sure we live on and push forward. Any people's past must never turn them into victims or poison their hearts at the sight of positivity outside of their own context.
And the Jewish people, after the Holocaust, they said it's never again, and they went and they got their respect. And I respect Jewish people for that, right? But we in the championships of life, right? And I'm telling the Jewish people like this, I need my ring too.
Unlike basketball or football, it doesn't have to be only one people who wins. Jews after the Holocaust were able to rise together and revive their ancient civilization. And although you see that, there's plenty the Jews still have to overcome. We are all expressions of one, and although the oneness can infinitely break down and expand, the world must find the perfect balance between our individuality and the greater collective we belong to.
And my kids are going to a school that teaches black kids a complicated Kwanzaa. I prefer my kids knew Hanukkah and Kwanzaa. At least it will come with some financial engineering.
To Jews, this sounds crazy, because Hanukkah has nothing to do with financial engineering at all. It's about a movement of warriors who stood up to Western imperialism and liberated their people. But of course, if you only surround yourself by mostly very assimilated Jews and never learn the story of the Maccabees, but instead were only exposed to Jewish chocolate gelt, I can see how you came to the wrong and shallow conclusion of Hanukkah being about financial engineering. By the way, the reason we spin dreidels and have gelt is to remember that under the Hellenistic Greeks, practicing our culture was forbidden, and when Greek soldiers would come to Jewish homes, Jews would quickly hide their books and pull out their dreidels and coins to pretend they were playing games rather than studying Torah. Gelt represents the distraction tactics we use to keep our culture alive, not ancient tax strategies or biblical crypto secrets. Look, I must admit that it's clear to me that your comments are also coming from a place of deep respect you have for the Jewish people. You are outright saying that you want your kids to celebrate Hanukkah. What anti-Semite wants their kids to celebrate Hanukkah? You also clearly value financial engineering, and since many Jews have found innovative ways of being financially successful, you want to emulate that. But the way it came off just ain't it.
Right. It is very important to have the black vote be in groupthink and to not separate from the thought and be completely in line with the agenda of the left, the Jewish media, and the Chinese.
Chinese got something to do with it?
I'm me tooing the Jewish culture right now and saying, y'all gotta come out and say what y'all have done. Between the mob action, what they'll do for groupthink, like if you go against them, I put the White Lives Matter t-shirt and they cancel my shows. And I came back and I was like, no, fuck the Jewish media. And everybody's like, what? Wait, what?
Jews are one people. But there is no higher Jewish office or elite secret body that decides to push negative agendas onto the world on behalf of the Jewish people. You have every right to be against individuals which happen to be Jewish, but it's your lack of an understanding of the Jewish experience and how anti-Semitic tropes have historically worked that makes you think it's okay to use language that generalizes all Jews. In practice, this results in the extremes from all groups within society to conclude that Jews are the reason for their pain, which fuels a desire to eradicate us. After having spoken to thousands of anti-Semites from around the world, from neo-Nazis,
I don't care about your fake Holocaust.
Jews run child rape rings. That's why Donald Trump is president.
to Israel haters,
Every Jew should get on their knees and beg for forgiveness for the theft of Palestine.
to every type of anti-Semite you can imagine.
Alors tous les Israéliens sont mauvais?
Ben ouais,
Tous.
tous.
Il n'y en a pas un qui est vrai.
Sans exception.
Et moi je suis israélien.
Hein?
It has become clear that many of these individuals conclude that their source of suffering stems simply from Jewish existence. Just like you, they see people in positions of power that may be Jewish like Mark Zuckerberg or Mark Cuban and assume that they view themselves as Jews first when conducting their lives or businesses. The reality is that Jews like Zuck and Cuban are very disconnected from their ancient civilization's identity. Although there is a chance they may slightly care about the collective they are part of deep down, in practice, they have non-Jewish children, and while the levels of anti-Semitism are rampant and exponentially growing each year, the power they wield is not used to benefit the collective of the Jewish people, even in our defense while under attack. If Jews ran the media, why would the media always be so overtly biased against Israel and constantly gaslighting the Jewish people? The majority of the response videos made by non-Jews criticizing you completely omitted anything you said about the Jewish people and only focused on your WLM shirt or your comments on George Floyd. Speaking of gaslighting,
If you are an honest person, you did not think this tweet was anti-Semitic. If you're an honest person, when you read this tweet, you had no idea what the hell he was talking about. Did he mean DEFCON 3? Which would be a military defense position, not an offense for those of you that are offended. If you're a liar, you'll say, I know I was scared, Candace. I actually thought that Kanye West was going to launch a military strike in Israel. We need to stop this nonsense. Stop calling people names. It's a toddler game. Everybody's in preschool. You're anti-Semitic.
Candace Owens, who do you think you are to tell Jews what is or isn't offensive? You have every right to defend Ye and to clarify what you think he said, but you don't get to make Jews seem crazy when they recognize the tropes that have historically been used to exterminate us. Don't you dare ever tell us what we have a right to feel hurt by ever again.
We made the White Lives Matter tees, and then when I put up the tweet, the DEF CON tweet, now he ain't releasing the tee because he's Jewish. And I'm like, see, this is my exact point that I'm making. Like, Jewish people have owned the black voice, whether it's through us wearing a Ralph Lauren shirt, or it's all of us being signed to a record label, or having a Jewish manager, or being signed to a Jewish basketball team, or doing a movie on a Jewish platform like Disney.
Ye, you're smart enough to understand why a Jew who owns a clothing company might not want to work with you after negatively generalizing the Jewish people. It's not a conspiracy or a plot against you. You also seem to have an obsession with Ralph Lauren.
It ain't no Ralph, though.
But regardless of your leather black jeans on, Jews do not own nor control the black or any other group's voice.
Dove is from American Apparel.
Okay.
The White Lives Matter tee don't say nothing. It don't say DEF CON or nothing on it, right? I'm like, put it out. And he's telling me, like, yo, I want you to visit the Holocaust Museum. And I was like, yo, I want you to visit Planned Parenthood. That's our Holocaust Museum.
Yay. Hundreds of thousands of unborn babies getting aborted is a valid dialogue for you to bring up that may take many deeper conversations from varying perspectives to find holistic solutions. But you cannot compare the deliberate attempt to exterminate every single Jew on this planet and the action of murdering 6 million Jews in the most brutal and horrific ways possible. It's not by minimizing our trauma that people will hear yours out. I also want to point out and say something to my own Jewish people. Fam, do we really think that the answer to anti-Semitism is by bringing someone to a Holocaust museum? Yes, the Shoah is but one of the many examples of Jewish persecution and extermination, one in which almost my entire paternal side of the family was murdered in. But fishing for world pity is not the answer. Many Jews, especially in the diaspora, have such a shallow understanding of their own identity that being a Jew has been minimized to a yearly Holocaust memorial and eating bagels with lox and pickles. We must have deeper internal conversations of who we are, what we are, where we belong, and how to unlock our potential through unity and actions, not passive reaction seeking for the world's acceptance while our reality is dictated by the will of those who hold their power above us. If you want to learn more about how anti-Semitism works and how to combat it, check out this video we recently made on the purpose of anti-Semitism.
On TMZ, I just saw yesterday, they said Pete Davidson and Kim have sex by the fireplace to honor their grandmother. It's Jewish Zionists that's about that life, that's telling this Christian woman that has 4 black children to put that out as a message in the media. You already made everybody think I'm crazy. You already took my family away. You already separated all my friends. I don't got no celebrity friends.
Losing your friends and family, making you seem crazy, and your ex-wife sleeping with another man does not get to be blamed on the Jewish people. Do you not see how you're just listing off all of your traumas or expressing your pain and then saying that the Jews are the cause of it? Also, why are you throwing out the term Zionist as if it's some sort of insult? Unfortunately, we live in a reality where although the word has one definition, an agenda has been intentionally pushed for decades to wrongly define the term in order to get people to turn against it. Let's make this clear. Zionism is the self-determination movement of the Jewish people on their indigenous ancestral homeland. It is not a movement against any other group of people, nor a term that relates in any way to the current conflict, which we all want to see an end to. Yay, I'm sorry that fireplaces now trigger emotional baggage, but do not project your pain onto my people, and if you are Jew also, use your energy to uplift, never to tear down.
By the fact that I crossed the anti-Semite line, I crossed the gun line, I stood in front of the tank in Tiananmen Square. You know, Cubes really set me up for this. You know what I mean? It's like you really influenced me to get on this anti-Semite, vibe, and I'm here to finish the job.
You can tell Cube that today was not such a good day. Turning the Jewish people into the tank used by an oppressive regime and others who suffered, including yourself, as the Chinese man standing up to the tank is not an answer or solution for anyone suffering, since the Jews are not the cause of it. The only thing you did is give people the wrong outlet to externalize their pain, and your words only lead to embolden the many out there waiting for any excuse to take physical actions against Jews.
I'm gonna name you some anti-Semitic shit right now, right? Because you're a Jew. Now, I'm gonna say some anti-Semitic shit. I'ma fuck your bitch. I'ma kill this nigga. 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 That's the real anti-Semitic shit that the Jewish people get paid off of. Now let me little Apple move. Let me on Apple right now. How many people want to bet their house that content is not within the first 3 songs on Apple rap music? They get paid off that shit. Ain't no, when the last time you seen a Jew person kill a Jew person on World Star?
The fact that the majority of rap music out there right now promotes addiction, violence, sex, and hatred is the same reason for why movies and the news promote a similar product. It is what corporations are selling to the public to raise profits and to weaken the human core by dividing and conquering. These are important conversations to have, but if you want to remove hate from music, first remove it from the vibrations and frequency you project about others. How could you be so heartless?
And let me tell you one thing, it's like if a black man is caught with something in a car or something, everybody in the car gonna go to jail with him, right? But if a black man can play basketball or rap, only he gets the record deal. So meaning like if one black man does something bad, all the other blacks get caught with him. If one black man does something good, nobody else gets nothing with him. It's a reverse for the Jewish people, right? If a Jewish person could repeatedly fucks me on a deal, it's just them. It's just the businessman. It's not the people. It's not nobody else. But if a Jewish person does good, all of their people eat with them. That's one of the flips.
Yay. You got your family out of the struggle as most other individuals from other groups would when attaining success. Jews see each other as family, so naturally, the average Jew gives back to their community to help others get out of their struggles. If you want black people in your community to give more tzedakah and to help others, then say that. Also keep in mind that in the world that we live in, we're all privileged compared to the generations that came before us. It was illegal for my grandparents to be alive. They hid and scavenged to survive. And Jews were also historically discriminated against in the country for which you want to run for office in. Power comes with responsibility, and you have a responsibility to lift your people out, not to trap them into a matrix where Jews are the reason for why they suffer.
A thing that a Jewish person will always say is they'll say, this is mine. With something with like something a black person built or that any company built. And they'd be like, that's mine now. The Jewish community, especially in the music industry, they'll take, in the entertainment period, they'll take one of us, the brightest of us, right, that can really feed a whole village, and they'll take us and milk us till we die, and then Stevie Wonder's son got to get a job, right? But Cameron Azoff got a job at Apple. He's already set up because of the way Azoff is connected, and we have to make our own connections.
Wait. You mean to tell me that with all of your connections, you've never helped your friends or family get a good job or open doors for them? The fact that someone Jewish who works at Apple helped their son get a job is not bad, nor the reason for why others don't get good jobs. This is yet another anti-Semitic trope you echoed that was also used in Nazi Germany to get the population to turn against the Jewish people.
Jared Kushner is an example of how the Jewish people have their hand on every single business that controls the world.
The Jewish people do not have their hands in or control every single business in this world. Will you find Jews in many businesses? Of course, as you will find others from other backgrounds too. Do not conflate your personal distaste in Jared Kushner with the rest of the Jewish people.
And then after talking to them and really sitting with Jared and sitting with Josh and finding out other pieces of information, I was like, wow, these guys might have really been holding Trump back and being very much a handler.
Trump had enough connections to make it into office, but he didn't have the Jewish media on his side.
Again, another age-old anti-Semitic trope of Jews holding politicians back and controlling them. It's not a coincidence that the far right sees the Jews as the left, and that the far left sees the Jews as the right. It's propaganda like this that gets people to think that Jews are behind the world's problems, especially in the realm of politics.
The only possible way that I could have won, that I'm a win, the only possible way is for me to early on call out the Jewish media this early, right? Because they'll play nice with you. But I see them fucking with me, like the SoFi Stadium, like 78 media outlets calling me an abuser based off something Trevor Noah said, me being canceled from the Grammys. And we don't even know who won Album of the Year. It got canceled by who? Jewish media. By the time 2024 runs around, the Jewish media, they're gonna be my friends, because you can't just go into the White House like Trump did and have the entire American media against you.
You are presenting a false dichotomy that if you lose a future election, the blame will be on the Jews, and if you win, then the Jews will take your side. I personally think that you are the generation's most influential artist, and just because the Grammys didn't let you finish, doesn't mean it's the Jews that took your vinyl award away. I know it must be much easier to deal with your problems by pinning them all on one people, but not only is that enabling more hate in this world, but it also prevents you from finding the necessary solutions to overcome those very problems you may face.
Because they've been fucking with me too long. They put the crazy narrative out there. My Jewish trainer, Harley Pasternak, who's Lizzo's trainer, put it out when I went to the hospital, put it in the press. Right. You just get used to getting screwed by the Jewish media. And I'm saying, y'all done poked the bear too fucking long.
After you hear our perspective, I hope you realize how sad it is that just because your trainer, who happens to be Jewish, told people that you were not well, that you then blame all Jews for this narrative getting out there. To be honest, Achi, you are not well. From what I see, you aren't psychotic or a danger to others around you like what the media is pushing, but you are so entangled with rage and jealousy that your generational voice gifted to you for creation has been turned to one that inspires division and pushes destruction.
Yeah, I forgive the Jewish media for creating the Ye's crazy narrative and creating a mob culture to scare people that anytime they bring up that a contract was wrong is labeled anti-Semite as a way to disable people from their truth. I forgive the Jewish culture for that.
It's not your criticism that's anti-Semitism. It's your anti-Semitism that's not criticism. When you blame Jews for all of your problems, demonizing, delegitimizing, and holding a double standard to our people, this is where you fall short of any legitimate criticism.
All Jewish people are not bad.
Please say that.
I just said it.
All right.
But I need the ones to step up. Because up to this point, I can name you 20 nightmare situations.
Yeah, but that you can't. That's like me going to a projects, right? That's like me going to 40 projects and 40 projects and shit happened bad to me. But then I could go to 40 projects in a certain time and the church people walk me right through that same projects and I'm good. Is it the projects to blame?
As Jews, we must recognize that there are also some very bad Jews. From sexual abusers like Harvey Weinstein or Jeffrey Epstein to financial manipulators like George Soros or Bernie Madoff, almost every single Jew feels deeply embarrassed by such individuals. Jews openly recognize that these individuals exist, and we must do a better job at narrating our story to the world to be understood and to not be confused with the rogue members of our tribe who do not live up to Jewish moral standards and are only out to benefit themselves.
They're the Jewish businessmen that did that because
they're business people.
That's what they did.
Why do you keep saying Jewish business people? Why do you keep using their religion, their ethnicity? Why do you keep doing that?
Let me update it then. Okay, so I'll say this. Would I have grown into the box you want me to go in if I say to specify the business people that have raped my people that just so happen to be Jewish?
I think by doing what you've just done, I find that I'm not even Jewish and I find that offensive. Why do you keep having to do that? I don't think you get it at all. I don't think you understand the offense you're causing when you keep using their religious background, their ethnicity, as a stick to beat them with. Why would you do that? When you insult the Jewish people and say you're going DEFCON 3 on the Jewish people, that is as racist as anything you say you've been through and any pain that you've experienced. It's the same thing. Racism is racism. And you know that, I think, don't you?
Yeah, obviously. That's why I said it.
So you said it knowing it's racist?
Yes. I fought fire with fire.
I'm from Chicago, and I have a project mentality. Even with the intelligence that I have a project mentality.
Right.
If I go to somebody's block and somebody shoot at me, kill one of my homeboys, then it's fuck they whole block. Now you get it?
If having a project mentality means creating more victims to violence and hatred just because it was done to you, then you need to grow out of that and at the very least not promote it to others. With your logic, should all Jews think black people are anti-Semitic? Should all Jews feel hurt by all black people because of what you said? No. We are all one in this world, and you are deep enough to understand that this is not the way to get anyone to rise up, for you or the people you seek to represent.
But I don't even think it's Jewish people for you. I think it's a certain people that are doing certain things.
I think it was 20 people. I think it was 20 people who kind of hurt you, and you kind of taking it out on
and
the
they
whole
happen to be Jewish.
And the thing is, I have did that with like people from like our projects. I have beef with, and then I just took it out on the whole project. And I'm being honest, I was wrong. So I'm just telling you, please, the Jewish people love you. Black people, we love you.
I'm still wrong. I'm still wrong.
We're still wrong. And
I'm still in the wrong.
Yes, please.
I haven't left out the wrong yet.
Yes.
I'm not ready to be right yet.
Yes.
But you should have the right to speak, even if you're wrong or
I should
right.
have the right to be wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
I got the right to be wrong.
No, Ye, it's not as simple as you should have the right to be wrong. If you didn't have so much power and influence, it wouldn't be as bad. But you must realize the power that was given to you and take it extremely seriously. Did you even catch what happened when you asked the question about who owns 5% of your company? Although the answer is your ex-wife Kim, watch the conclusion that a woman that was part of the crew gets to based on everything she just heard you say.
I'm the 95% owner of the Yeezy trademark. Who do you think got 5%?
Our friends.
No.
Come on, you got Jews. The fuck is sounds crazy out here right now.
Kim has 5% of Yeezy.
It's not crazy. This is a result of your anti-Jewish rhetoric. Many people who listen to you now think Jews are their enemy, creating an even bigger target on the backs of Jews.
Yeah, with the darker Jews, the 12 lost tribes of Israel, who we are, because we Jewish also.
Do your research on it. We have got our culture ripped from us. If we knew we were a culture and knew we were a people, the way the Jewish people know, it's not a race, it's a people.
First of all, we are Semite. We Jew, so I can't be anti-Semite.
Say blacks is Jews.
Blacks are Jews also.
We gotta say we love Jewish people then. We love Jewish people. We got great.
If you are Jew, why do you hate the extension of your own people? There's a growing consciousness amongst people of color in the Americas who likely descend from Israelite origins brought as slaves from Africa. Unfortunately, due to generations of trauma, loss of identity, along with the almost total rejection of this conversation amongst mainstream Jewish spaces, many Black Hebrew Israelites get to the wrong conclusions and lash out at the Jewish people. Many people around the world are on a journey to decolonize their identity, but too many are coming from a very colonized Christian framework, using mistranslations of mistranslated texts from the King James Bible and arriving to false conclusions that mainstream Jews stole their identity. To those watching this video that have never heard of this, it is a fact that a large percentage of the black slaves sold during the transatlantic slave trade were of Israelite tribes displaced in Africa. Over 20% of the slave trade consisted of Africans capturing ethnic Igbos, which have an ancient tradition that they descend from the tribe of God, in what is today called Nigeria, and selling them to Europeans. It is not white people that went inland to take black slaves. It was other black African leaders who took certain groups of people in Africa and sold them to the whites on the coast. I mean, think about it. If there was one group to be chosen for enslavement, it fits the pattern that they were mainly from Israelite tribes in Africa, which historically until this day are still being persecuted and killed. Our team is actively working on a documentary series called We Were Never Lost, where we are uncovering and documenting these stories to make us living today the last generation not to know who the lost tribes really were all along. Sometimes, even the most destructive rhetoric always contains a grain of truth. Yes, there is validity that many people of color in North and South America and the Caribbeans have Israelite ancestry, and there is an undeniable movement of return consciousness that is getting these descendants to wake up. However, when that is weaponized and aimed at attacking the other Jewish people who were also sold on slave ships to Rome and who have been persecuted and massacred for generations in Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East, you get two Israelite groups fighting each other and blaming the other for the source of their suffering rather than reuniting and never actually holding accountable those who truly still benefit from our struggles. Yea, if you are really part of Am Yisrael, be a part of the generation and our movement to link the family back together. Don't get influenced by those who leave you voice notes and push you to turn against what you see to be your own.
What I said was DEFCON 3. Now, I'm not backing up on a feeling of what I wanted to say. I just didn't say the exact thing that I wanted to say at that moment. So I feel like God put me on a little timeout.
Yeah.
Because my dad was like, I feel where you're coming from, Ye. I understand. But you got to be more sophisticated with your words. And you can't call me anti-Semitic for calling out. You can't call me anti-Semitic for saying I'm going DEFCON 3.
I think what you said was important, though.
That sounds pretty anti-Semitic, except for the fact that I am Jew.
Yea, as a cultural leader, the people deserve better than this. What you said was beyond anti-Semitic on all levels and not just offensive, but you've brought more danger into this world. The comments prove the voice of the people who've heard you speak, as they are turning against the Jewish people. We expect more from you as you can still salvage this situation.
We have to make our own empire. We have to get free just like the Jews did. Every single black artist needs to wear Yeezy. And if Cedric the head of Balenciaga talk left or right to me, we need to be able to turn a switch off on Balenciaga. And if he talk right to me and us, we turn a switch on. We have to come together as a block.
Although collectives should defend themselves together, there is a fine line with imposing your shoe brand onto everyone and imagining a reality that consequences will happen to someone if they agree with you or not. Should people stand by you if you are being wrongfully attacked? Yes, but be very careful with pushing for a reality that people must comply with your will based on your desire and you to expect everyone to fall in line. No one man should have all that power.
If we can remove I and move as a body, that's how the Jewish people do, because the Jewish people are already showing us.
Leave the Jewish people alone.
How to.
I ain't gonna lie. You've been going way too far.
No.
You gotta stop.
The Jewish people are my new Drake.
You've said in past videos that you were beefing with Drake because you saw him as the best rap artist. So it shows how you attack those who you envy and subconsciously respect. Although it may have led to the growth in record sales with Drizzy, this is not the way to push your people up and to unite with Jews. I'm glad it came to you at the end of the interview that this stems from a jealousy of outcome and not from Jews actually being the ones responsible for all world problems.
The whole I'm jealous because it's such a perfect thing. It's basically saying, hey, you know, my people rise up. They did something good. Let's copy what they're doing, and let's rise up.
So why not start with that though? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, why not say Jewish people? We're not trying to offend you.
God didn't give it to me yet.
Ooh.
God gave it to me here. Ooh. Yeah. Dream check.
Yeah, because Jewish people, I want everybody to know, black people, Jewish people, Kanye loves y'all.
No, I'm jealous of y'all. But right now, we're here dealing with the Jewish comment, blah, blah, blah. That's like kind of the main thing. And we solved it. We, matter of fact, made something that brought all the Jewish people in and the black people in together.
No, this wasn't solved at all. But it can be solved. You, B'ezrat Hashem, have much more time in this world to create that change, to develop real lasting relations with the Jewish people, and to bring awareness to the many important concepts you alluded to that fell short due to them being severely mixed with grotesque anti-Semitic ideas. There is no option to run away from what you said. You have the power to defeat the monster you created. So if you really want to have this conversation, it's not too late.
I'm sorry for the people that I hurt with the DEF CON, the confusion that I call. I feel like I cause hurt and confusion. And I'm sorry for the families of the people that had nothing to do with the trauma that I had been through, and that I use my platform where you say hurt people. And I was hurt. I was frustrated. I want to say that it's wrong to hold an apology hostage. And I got to let go of that. To those families that I hurt, you know, I really want to give you guys a big hug. I'm sorry for hurting you with my comments. I'm going to start by taking accountability for my actions. And it lacked the sophistication needed to be the true conductor that I am, because it's the conductor's job to bring people together. And that was divisive, which is not who I want to be. We are here actually to love one another and to collaborate and to make the world a better place.